W.L. Willocks,
I, Harold W.L. Willocks,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support, obey, and defend
I will support, obey, and defend
the Constitution and laws of the United States
the Constitution and laws of the United States,
applicable to the Virgin Islands
applicable to the Virgin Islands,
and the laws of the Virgin Islands,
and the laws of the Virgin Islands,
that I will administer justice
that I will administer justice
without respect to persons
without respect to person,
and do equal right to the poor
and do equal right to the poor
and to the rich,
and to the rich,
that I take this obligation freely
that I take this obligation freely
without any mental reservation
without any mental reservation
or purpose of evasion,
or purpose of evasion,
and that I will faithfully and impartially
and that I will faithfully and impartially
perform the duties incumbent upon me as Associate Justice of the Supreme Court of the Virgin Islands.
of the Supreme Court of the Virgin Islands.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you.
Sign it. On behalf of the Judiciary of the Virgin Islands, I present to you this gavel as an emblem of power to enable you to maintain order in your courtroom. Okay? So, put it in here.
At this time, we have another musical selection from the Superior Court Rising Star Youth Steel Orchestra. Thank you. Thank you, so beautiful. At this point, I'd like to call Attorney Joseph Pontini, also one of my dear friends, to come forward.
A pleasant good afternoon to everyone. Now, since I do not have total immunity from Justice Willocks or anyone else, it is now my duty to tell you the truth and nothing but the truth about Harold Willocks. The Honorable Harold Woodson Lorin Willocks was born in Christiansted, St. Croix, to Ebenezer and Claudia Willocks, now both deceased. Willocks attended the public schools of St. Croix and graduated from the St. Croix Central High School in 1975. He enrolled at Morgan State University in Baltimore, Maryland in the spring of 1976 and earned his Bachelor of Arts degree 2 years later in 1978. In 1979, Justice Willocks attended the Howard University Graduate School of Political Science. The following year, he attended Howard University School of Law. He interrupted his studies and returned home for 2 years. He resumed his educational pursuits and enrolled at Antioch School of Law, completing his Juris Doctorate in 1987. Justice Willocks' experience and service stretch over 30 years. For periods of time between 1978 and 1985, he enjoyed the rewarding profession of teaching at Elena Christian and Arthur Richards Junior High Schools and at his alma mater, St. Croix Central High School. In 1987, he became a local prosecutor. Good move. To further his challenge, he then switched in 1988 to become a territorial public defender. And I met him in that court, but on the other side. I said bad things about him, but again, I can't repeat it. I don't have immunity at this time. In this capacity, Justice Willocks handled hundreds of cases involving the indigent population of the Virgin Islands. After 4 years, he ascended to the rank of Chief Public Defender of the Virgin Islands, where he took on the challenges of bringing the Public Defender's Office into the 21st century. For a period of time during his tenure as the Chief Public Defender, the Office of the Territorial Public Defender had one of the highest jury trial win ratios for a public defender's office in the nation. In August 2009, Willocks was nominated by the Honorable John P. DeYoung, Governor of the Virgin Islands of the United States, to serve a 6-year term as a judge of the Superior Court of the Virgin Islands. Willocks was later unanimously approved by the legislature of the Virgin Islands. He was reappointed by the Honorable Kenneth Mapp, Governor of the Virgin Islands of the United States, for a second term and was later unanimously approved. Willocks was then reappointed by the Honorable Albert Bryan Jr., Governor of the Virgin Islands of the United States, for a third term and was again unanimously approved by the legislature of the Virgin Islands. He has served as administrative judge, presiding judge, and as a senior judge of the Superior Court. On January 22nd, 2022, Justice Willocks was nominated by the Honorable Albert Bryan Jr., Governor of the Virgin Islands of the United States, to serve a 10-year term as a Justice of the Supreme Court of the Virgin Islands. On March 25th, 2024, Justice Willocks was unanimously confirmed by the legislature of the Virgin Islands. Justice Willocks has written over 20 books. His most well-known books, The Umbilical Cord, From Pre-Columbian to the Present, Civicus, Over the Horizon, and the Virgin Islands are currently used as textbooks in many public and private schools throughout the territory. In addition to his many books, Justice Willocks has also written numerous articles and papers. He is a lecturer and presenter. Justice Willocks has assisted various community organizations, especially those dealing with youth. He spearheaded the Virgin Islands History, Geography, Civics, and Character Enhancement Bowl and the Prevention through education summer camps. Some of the honors bestowed upon him include the Virgin Islands Humanities Scholar and the Virgin Islands Cultural Bearer. He has been one of the leading advocates for educational programs and activities for the youth of the Virgin Islands. He played a vital role in the establishment of an expungement statute for the Virgin Islands and the Behavioral Virgin Islands Health Bill. Justice Willocks is married and has 2 children. Justice Willocks, congratulations.
And now, the time we've been all waiting for, I call forth the man of the hour, Justice Willocks.
Good afternoon. Maybe see that. I don't know if you're all going to clap for me after I finish, but thanks anyhow. Protocol having been established, I'd like to, I'm going to ask your permission to go a little longer than my usual 3 to 4 minutes, because I do need to say a couple of things. So I'm hoping that my friend Josh Cannon don't kick me on my foot if I go over my 3-4 minutes. I'd like to start off by, of course, thanking the good Lord. He has been there for me. Sometimes I wonder why, but he's always been there. He's always treated me well. And sometimes I'd lay at night and say, why are you doing such good things for me? But I guess eventually I'll know. And of course, I have to thank my family, my wife, who has put up with me when I couldn't put up with myself at times. I have to. I was told by both, I'm not going to call names, that make sure you talk about your wife so you don't end up in the doghouse. So. Was that good enough? Okay. And of course, there's so many people along the way that you have to thank. Staff, the public defender. I thank the Honorable John DeYoung, Honorable Kenneth Mapp, Honorable Delbert Brand, who made the mistake twice for whatever reason. They appointed me twice. Of course, the legislature, who made the mistake 3 times in 2004 in confirming me. And I do have to thank everyone, supporters, family, friends, detractors, haters, critics. No, because it makes you a stronger person. If, I sat here and I'm listening to all these compliments and I'm wondering who they were talking about. And, it is important, and that's something we need to realize, that we take as much consideration to the critics and detractors and haters as we do those who compliment, because that's the only way you're going to grow, and that's the only way you're going to remain planted. Now, if I may, and I ask for the additional time because I made a promise to a male person. I'm not going to talk about whether male or female because I don't want to be sexist. And when I say that, I mean, they're a very good person. They're very nice. They have a very good heart. And they told me, a lot of people know about you, but a lot of people don't know you. And I said, because that's not a lot of people's business. And of course, they continued to harass me. And I said, okay, I'll tell you what. The next time I have to speak publicly in an environment where I have to discuss myself, I will talk briefly about me. Thank you, Governor Brand. Now, in keeping my promise, and to the male person out there, let me clarify that. I'm sorry. Sorry, Freudian slip. Well, and again, like my younger sister, and since it slipped out, she's not a serious male person. A serious male person is, and my son, you should have said, a calm male person is, oh yeah, and I heard. So she's not within the serious mele, the vicious mele, and my son, and when they, and I respect that. So I'm going to try and wrap my biography up in 2-3 minutes, and then get on to finishing up. Let's see. I was born as a boy in Christiansted. And this, of course, is just for my friend, the Miller person, whose name I'm not going to call. Growing up, I was what we would call, back then, a rooster or a cock or a gajo. And it's like, back then, the older boys would pick you to be like, it's like you see a cockfight, and you were the rooster. And I was doing pretty good until my quote-unquote trainer put me to fight somebody bigger than me, and that didn't go well. And that was the end of my career in that. And then growing up, you heard a little bit, I dabbled in a lot of different things, a lot of sports. I tried out soccer, cricket, just about everything. I even tried playing football. I was on the line, played half a game. That didn't go well either. I even tried out baseball. And, Harry Clark and Alfonso Mong Plaskett recruited me off the court, said, "Oh, man, you look like a good athlete, come." And took me up at Canigata Ballpark. And I was doing good when I was feeling. And then they put me to bat. Now, I remember Harry Clark telling me, "Stay in the box." Okay. After I got hit with the ball, and Mong and Harry looked at me and they're cracking up, I said, and people who know Harry Clark, great, he had a sense of humor. "Why your stupid self didn't move out the ball away?" And my response was, "Because you told me to stay in the box." So that was the end of that career. And, as I said, I dabbled in different things. I even tried out martial arts, and then I found that it's way more efficient to use a conch shell on a baseball bat. So, and I say that to hint to certain people, Then it's pretty much. I did do some off-the-wall things, like I was I was a security for a brief stint, tried out my luck as a bodyguard. I was okay until at the last training we were shown, those correction or enforcement people who went through the course would know, they teach you that if somebody's shooting at your target, how to push them out of the way and then get shoot in an area where you don't die. That ended that pursuit. And then finally, because I made certain that I said there is a time limit to my discussion of things that nobody really know of, I was also, believe it or not, a chef. Well, no, Canon, it's not because I'm fat. I was slimmed down. I was known throughout the Tri-Island, Virginia, Maryland, and DC for one famous dish. It was called chicken al Harold. Now, and by the way, these are all true stories that can be verified. Unfortunately, as for the chef, the 20 people that ate it, most of them have passed on. It had nothing to do with they eating my chicken. It's just an unfortunate coincidence. Yes, thank you. So, I even did a stint of a bartender. I invented 2 drinks. One is called the Harold. I'm not going to tell, because of copyright issues, I wouldn't say what it is. And then I invented a drink that you can actually get drunk, you can feel pleasant drinking non-alcoholic beverages through a chemical reaction. That too I will not revolve because tell anyone about it because of copyrights. And, that would conclude my news to the Miller person. Now, but the one thing that stood in me is that she kept mentioning that, oh, you're a public servant. Of course, at first I said, no, I'm not a servant. I'm a public employee that owes a duty to the people. I said, no, you serve the people, right? I said, yes. She said, you're a servant. I thought about it and I said, yeah, she's right. But, you know, we take the word public servant to, and it's many times abused. Being a public servant, as we are in the judiciary, the executive, the legislative, does not give us, as people, the right to abuse or disrespect. We must obey the office. You may disagree with the person, you may even disagree with the policy. However, you must respect the office. You know, one of the reasons why it's become such a difficult time in getting people to go or run to be in the public office is because we as a people are personalizing. We are, for example, you know, if a mistake is made in any branch, or the person is a thief, they're corrupt. You know, the many times that I've sat listening to people talk, and, you know, as a judge, I've heard, oh, you know, all the judges are corrupt, they're in the governor's pocket. And I've said this before, and I'm really? You really think of it in the governor's pocket? Come on. And it's because you disagree with a ruling by the court, because you disagree with what the executive branch may have done, or because you disagree with what the legislative branch have done. It does not mean that they're corrupt. It simply means that they have made their ruling and you disagree with it. There's no corruption. Now, I'm not saying that, or nor am I an apologist to any of the branches, but the reality is that we have to realize that we're at a crossroad and we're losing our young people quickly. And that when we make these statements without and disrespecting not the person, but the institution, when we disrespect the office of the governor or the executive branch, when we disrespect the legislative branch, when we disrespect the judicial branch, you are, in essence, saying to the youth that your government is not functionable, it is not functioning. And then you turn around and you wonder, why is it that we have all this crime and disrespect? Well, you have just convinced young people that you have no government, and you have no government, you have anarchy. And I'm not saying that is the main reason for this. I'm saying that we have to be very, very careful when we criticize government, that we respect the office. If you want to talk about me, fine. Say, hey, you know, Willocks, big fat self just corrupt. Okay, that's fine, I can live with that. But don't say all judges are corrupt, because you're attacking the institution and not the person. Also, you know, and we as, again, public servants, you know, we owe a duty. We're committed. We've done that, and we know what we have to do. We should know what we have to do. But at the same token, we as a people must do better. We have fostered an environment where the young people prefer to pick up a joint than a pen. They prefer to pick up a gun than a book. We have to foster an environment where that is no longer the popular thing. We have to foster an environment where children are not raised by cell phones, electronic devices, but rather by interaction among the people, the neighborhood. The young people of today are far more advanced, far more intelligent than we ever can imagine. However, family guidance, neighborhood, community guidance cannot be done or managed by a computer or by AI. It must be done by people. And we need to realize that at some point, we as the Wordland community must start addressing these issues, because there are several huge, and true to my trying to be local, I don't want to say elephants, I say mongoose, or mongoose, excuse me. A mongoose or mongoose, I can't remember, Oh, mongoose them. Yeah, that works for me. That's in there that we have to look at. And You know, some of the speakers before me hinted to it. You know, one of the big problems that I see in the next 5 to 10 years, if we don't convince our people, the young people, to start training themselves, to start preparing themselves to take over, we're going to be in problems. And we cannot get upset when the judiciary does not reflect the culture, the people, or the population of the Virgin Islands. We cannot turn around and complain about that and say, look what they do. Look what's going on here. You know, as most judges do, all judges do, we had some students coming in, and I asked them after the calendar, how many of you want to be a judge? About 36 people. Nobody. Okay. So I said to myself, okay, maybe I didn't really do a good job. All right. How many of you wanted to be a defense attorney? No one. How many of you wanted to be a prosecutor? And I sort of bit my lip because I knew I would have to talk to people like Judge Andrews and say, yeah, you know, 20 of them wanted to be prosecutors, and you know, and none of them. One of them raised their hand and said, I want to be a marshal. And I said, okay, that's good. And I thought about it, and I said that we in the judiciary, where the people must do better to encourage people, the young people, to go and be interested in the judiciary. And that is throughout the government. You know, we sit back and we say, oh, you know, we're not getting the jobs. People coming in and they're getting the jobs. But the reality is, we're not preparing, and the young people are not preparing themselves to take these jobs. And in 10 years, unless we, as a government, because even though we need to understand something, the judiciary is neutral, but we too play a role, though a limited role, in the development of the Virgin Islands. And all branches must get together to deal with the problems. Because it's not a legislative problem, it's not an executive problem, it's not a community problem, it's a problem that involves everyone. It's an all hands on deck problem. And even we in the judiciary must come up alongside with the executive and legislative in terms of preventive programs. We simply cannot place or put everyone in jail. It has never worked and it will never work. We are depleting the intellectual possibilities of our young people. We must come up with innovative ideas as to how to save those people, how to bring back our people home. You know, how to challenge and channel the young people who are at risk into different vocations. You know, I listened to Governor Bryan make the statement, everybody get upset when he said, well, we don't have the people for these jobs. And people get upset. But the reality is we don't. We have not provided training, nor have we, as a community, as family members, as parents, urged or convinced our young people that it is important. You don't have to be a doctor, a lawyer, a judge. You don't have to do that. You could be a plumber. You could be an electrician. I paid my electrician the other day. I'm like, wow, should I really become an electrician? But, you know, and he was telling me, oh yeah, and I'm heading over to Rome. I'm looking like, damn, I could barely get to Miami. He's an electrician, he going to Rome. So, you know, we have this preconceived notion that, you know, you have to wear a tie, you have to be a doctor or a lawyer in order to be recognized in the community, and that is clearly not true. So, you know, we really have to put an all hands on deck and join forces, if you will, for all the sake of the Virgin Islands. And I'm trying to think I really went over. I spoke, what, 10 minutes? No, I'm good. No, I'm good, I'm done. No, I'm done. So with that, I want to thank everyone for, you know, being here. You know, I thank everyone for your support. You know, there's so many things that, you know, I have to sing aloud. If I may have just 2 more minutes, Joyce. You know, I have to thank, of course, you know, my staff. I see Miss Keynes, I see Miss Davis. They were, when I went to the Superior Court, they were just fussing all over me. I see a lot of support. I see, people who like, to mention all of them, we probably end up here till 4 o'clock. I'm just thinking of very few people that I really have to, of course I have to thank Miss Regina Peterson, the one I call the Energizer Bunny. I don't know how she does it. She does it. I mean, she just, you ever look at a person and you get tired just looking at them work? Well, she's that type of person, where you going again? Oh yeah, I have to do this and that. I'm saying to myself, oh, I thought I got rid of Keynes and Davis. No, I got them on steroids. And, I have to thank my fellow associate justice and Chief Justice, especially Justice Cabret, who took me under her mighty wings. And, I told her, my head's out of hard. I said, don't worry, you learn it. My head's still hard. But, and, the Chief Justice Swan, Chief Justice Hodge, for showing me the ropes. And because there is a huge difference, not a huge, but there is a difference between appellate work and trial work. And it's a challenge. And with that, I thank everyone for coming. I've spoken well beyond what I expected. I thank you all. I ask you to, continue support